Good morning. Welcome to Forest School. We are here live streaming from the school theatre in Snaresbrook. And you may say, why are we doing that? Because we've had lots of admissions events so far. You've had lots of information. But the one thing we feel you haven't had a real opportunity to do is to meet our fantastic pupils. So we have dragged some out of bed this morning to answer your questions. We hope very much you are thinking of questions and you're going to send those in. And our pupils will endeavour to answer those. You will see from the stage all the controls, appropriate controls in place here on the stage. The one thing we don't have any control over is what our pupils are going to say, and I'm really looking forward to hearing that in a moment. If you have questions, please think about what you actually want to hear from this lot on stage about life at Forest. They've been here 10 weeks. They're all in Year 7, or Year 7 bubble, as we should probably say. But also, if you have questions about admissions, about exams, bus routes, any logistics, also fire those questions in, because we've got an admissions team here this morning as well, who can answer those off camera or after the event as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to the head of lower school, Miss Eshmi Smith, who is going to introduce the panel. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Cliff Hodges. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Forest, albeit virtually. My name is Miss Eshmi Smith. I'm head of lower school here at Forest, and that means that I think I have one of the best jobs here at the school because, along with a team of colleagues, I'm responsible for looking after pupils' personal development and their academic achievement in Year 7 and 8. I'm joined here this morning by Mr. Busquenda, who is head of Guy's House. You'll be pleased to know that that is known here as Forest as the gentleman's house. And Mr. Busquenda, or Mr. B, as we affectionately call him, is part of our biology department as well. But of course, the real stars of the show this morning, and I know who you're all here to hear from, are of course our 8 Year 7 pupils who have joined us here this morning for our first ever virtual pupil panel. So I'm going to introduce them to you in a moment. But I just want to say, get those questions coming into the chat already so that we can really get to grips with answering what you want to hear from us this morning. So over to our dream team. It's my pleasure to introduce to you this morning. We have Yanis, we have James joining us, we have Sabina joining us and Evie joining us. We're also joined by George, by Aditya, by Lola, and last but by no means least, by Scarlett. So guys, can we give I know we're all at home, but can we give all our pupils here a really big welcoming round of applause? Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to kick off with a warm-up question whilst we're waiting for those questions to come into the chat. So our first question, folks, is what has been the most fun thing that you have experienced at Forest thus far? And I'm going to start with Yanis for that question.
Okay. Well, for me, I think the community and everybody around have been really, really nice. I've had lots of fun. I've been feeling very, very, very included. I don't know if it's just our year, but
so you've had fun being part of the community. Tell me something really fun you've done as part of the Forest community then.
Well, I think on the first day, we did these activities where I think it was a bonding activities where we played games with our house. Yeah. And that was really fun, and everybody seemed to be quite nice. So yeah.
So it was a good starting point.
Also, the lessons aren't that bad.
Okay.
They're pretty nice. Okay. I mean, like, I can
That's a relief to know in a school. It's good to know that the lessons are quite fun as well. Excellent. Fantastic. Tell me the most fun thing that you've experienced in one of your lessons so far then, Yanis.
I think I have a lot of fun in my Latin lessons.
Okay, tell us why.
Miss Gould, her name is, she's very, very funny. Yeah. We have lots of fun, and she makes links to very different things. One time she made us believe that she was a mass murderer.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that does sound somewhat fun. Okay, thank you so much.
George, would you like to add?
Well, I really like the sports because I really like football, and there's so much sport.
And what football team do you support?
Arsenal.
Oh, Kurt. I mean, sorry, Olivia, you said you were?
I support Chelsea.
Chelsea, okay. So this is a little bit awkward at the moment. So, anyone else want to join in with what they found as most fun about Forest so far?
Well, I also think the sports is really fun, except I support Tottenham.
Oh. So what we're going to do now, we've got a couple of little videos for you. We're going to show you the first one in a minute, which is about a science experiment that was done here in school yesterday. So let's watch that now, and then we'll come back to the panel.
My name is Miss White, I'm the head of science, and today we're going to carry out a simple experiment to prove that the product of a chemical reaction is hydrogen by carrying out the hydrogen pop test. Okay, so we talked a little bit about chemical reactions in terms of particles breaking apart from each other, jumbling around, and then rejoining to form something new. But we can't see that happening. We can't see the atoms rearranging themselves, but we can look for signs that a reaction is happening. What might we look for? Tyler?
Looking for the change in colour.
We might see a change of colour, like when we did the diffusion practical and we had two colourless liquids reacting and forming a bright yellow product. Yeah?
Bubbles and fizzing.
Bubbles and fizzing, Eve, really, really good. And what does that tell us? If we see bubbles and fizzing, what does that suggest? Tom?
It could be boiling.
It could be something boiling. It could be a reaction that transfers a lot of energy and causes something to boil. Yeah?
It could also mean that it's forming a gas.
Yeah, it could just, at the very most basic, it might just tell us that a gas is being made.
Could it also be a change of temperature?
And there could be a change of temperature, and that's really good because we're going to be looking for some of these signs today. We are going to be carrying out a very simple reaction between a metal, magnesium, and some acid. So, if you could take one of your test tubes and the pipette, and if you could fill it half full with acid for me, please. And then place it back in the test tube rack. And I want you to take the jar that contains magnesium ribbon. Just take out one piece of ribbon for me, please. You can use your fingers, you can put it on the table, it's absolutely fine. So you can lift the test tube out of the rack, place the magnesium inside, and put your thumb over the top. And try not to let any, and we can also look whilst we're doing this. Can we see any signs that a reaction is happening? Hi.
It's like bubbling.
Yeah, good, let's see. Yeah, so we can see bubbles. Okay, so maybe we've got enough gas that we can try and test to see which gas is inside. So if you take your splint, keep it lit, lovely.
I heard it.
You heard it.
And now it's hot. Nice.
So what, if we can hear the gas popping, what does that suggest about the properties of this gas? What do we think the gas is doing?
It mixes together.
It causes a reaction, but what property of our gas might make it pop like that? Do you think it's a reactive gas or maybe an unreactive gas? Yeah?
Is it a reactive gas?
It is a reactive gas. And what it tells us is that if we light our unknown gas and that gas essentially explodes with a pop, it's telling us that our gas is hydrogen because we know that hydrogen is an explosive gas.
Do the hydrogen test experiment. Oh, we've had a question come through. Over to our panel. What's been the most interesting thing you've learned at Forest? James.
I think I found Latin really interesting because we didn't do it in our primary school, and I found it really links with the other modern languages we're doing at the moment. So I'm doing French and German, but there's also Spanish and Mandarin on offer. And a very relevant piece of Latin is the school motto, Impector Ober, which means strength at heart, and reflects the school's attitude towards perseverance and determination.
Very good. Sorry, Scarlett, I think I kind of cut you off. Did you want to add or say something there?
Yeah, so in science we were learning about diffusion and how like if you spray incense it will eventually spread around the room evenly. And I asked Miss if when you cough it spreads around the room, and she said yes, and I was like, oh, so that's how coronavirus spreads.
Yes, it's important to wear your mask, indeed. Anyone else would like to, Aditya?
For me, it linking to James, but a different language. So not really different language. In the prep school, I was in prep school.
Oh, you've been here since prep school. Oh, brilliant. So you've been a while, yeah.
In the prep school, we did Mandarin, And then when we come into the senior school, there's other languages you can choose. And like James said, Latin's a subject that you have as a compulsory subject. And there's also Mandarin, Spanish, French, German. I chose Mandarin and French because I really wanted to learn French because I've been to France a couple of times.
Comment ça va, Aditya? I speak French. Comment ça va?
I don't think I've
That
learned
means,
that.
how are you doing?
Thank you, George. Or would you like to say something in Mandarin? You don't have to. Evie?
It's kind of more Latin, but I've learnt a whole new area of memes that I can now understand. And it kind of, learning about Latin, it shows a lot of the roots of English words that I use quite a lot, like, so you can kind of understand where everything comes from.
Very interesting.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Right, guys, we're going to move on to another question now that's appeared in the chat. So, yeah, good question. What are the main differences between being at Forest Senior School and your previous school? What's been the main differences that you've observed? Layla?
I think the food, because in my school they gave us pizza.
Right.
It wasn't pizza. It was a square slice of bread with cheese. But finally here we have a triangle cut with pepperoni. So the food's
Proper
really
slice.
good. Yeah.
Excellent.
Tasty.
Okay, I love that. I'm glad that we deliver on the pizza front. That's good to know. I have to say, I think so too. Anyone else want to add to that? How's your experience so far been different to your experience in your previous school?
For me,
yeah, Yanis.
I think that I was in year 6 when I came. I was the oldest in the school.
Okay.
And now I just go up a high level, but now I'm the youngest.
Right.
So I think that's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Also, my primary school was like 3 times smaller than this.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
4,
Oh,
5,
very
6
small.
times.
So how was it when you first arrived?
When I first arrived, it was just really, really tiring to get around. Really tiring.
And how have you found getting around the school, guys? Because, yeah, like you say, it's a big place, probably much bigger than you're used to. So have you got any top tips? What have you done to navigate? Scarlett?
So it's the one-way system does not help. And I was here in the prep school. I'm pre-prep. So I kind of knew my way around, but the one-way system made everything 10 times harder because, like, just to get to, like, from the courts to the other side of the Guilderdale, you need to walk all the way around the long side. So tips are always follow the arrows and make sure that you always wear a mask because...
And who came to Forest not knowing anyone? So when you started in this, oh, Lola, yes. So how was it for you coming not knowing anyone at all?
It was kind of nerve-wracking because there were just so many new faces. But then you just have to be open for everyone, so you have to really be able to talk to everyone and not be that shy. And then you get loads of friends. So,
And how did the school, particularly Lola, and I know James, I think you joined not knowing anyone as well. How did the school help you build those friendships?
Well, we have our houses and twinned houses, which help us know lots of people. And then we have our teaching sets, and we get to choose for languages, so we have different people for languages. And then in games and activities, where we can play football or do other things, we can learn even more people. And with the clubs that happen, we get to know everyone in year 7, basically.
Brilliant. So you've got lots of opportunities to mix with different people,
Yeah.
albeit, like you say, only in your year group at the moment, although ordinarily that would be many more opportunities to meet the pupils in other year groups as well. James, you mentioned clubs there. Can you tell us a good club that you've joined or a good co-curricular experience you've had so far?
I've joined cross country, which is really fun because I've never really done much running in forests before because I live more centrally in London.
Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed running in fresh air, and I found it very fun.
Brilliant, awesome. And Sabina?
I have to agree with James. Cross country is really fun because I also made new friends in there because you get to do loads of fun games while you're running, and then you run around forests and see all the nature. And then what's also fun is that you can run in muddy puddles and get really.
Now we should tell them about steeplechase. That would do steeplechase. I fell in the mud one year. I was covered in mud. So.
And then there's also netball club, dance club, And then DT clubs, there's loads of clubs to do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so panel warming up. I think it's going rather well, except for a potentially dangerous Latin teacher by the sound of it. But we're going to cut to 3 more little videos, and then we're going to have a much longer session with the panel. So do please keep the questions coming, and we're going to watch the videos now.
Hello, I'm Adam's Story. This is Priya. We are working on the Minuet in D minor by Bach of the grade 3 repertoire, which Priya is doing very well. So we're just going to have a play of it and see how we go. Hard bit now, aren't we? Yeah, how'd you go? How'd you think you went?
Should I do it properly?
Should you do it properly? Yeah. Okay, so do you want to try it with me together first?
Yeah.
Very good. Which bit did you feel a bit worried about when you were playing that you have to improve now? Do you think?
There's big slur.
Yeah, the triplet slur?
Yeah.
It's got to be quicker, doesn't it? 1, 2, 3. Very good. Let's go from that repeat spot.
Morning, my name's Luke Barker. I'm just going to do a 3D printing session with some students in Year 7. So you've now done your 2 drawings, your handles. We're going to transfer those drawings that you've done here onto the MakerBot 3D printing program. But I just wanted to talk to you about the 3D printing process. So 3D printing is, do you know a hot melt glue gun?
Yeah.
Do you know a hot melt glue gun, and then you squirt it and it heats the plastic up and it squirts it through the nozzle, the hot nozzle? That's what 3D printing is. It's just that, but a very smart version, okay? So what we're going to do today is we're going to 3D print your handles, and they should take about an hour and a half. But how long do you think a model like that would take to print, even that sort of slice of a head, the skull?
Around 3 hours.
Okay, a bit more?
A day?
A day is pretty good. That took about 13 hours to print. And you can see this honeycomb inside it here, the honeycomb structure. Why do you think they designed it with a honeycomb structure?
Is it because honeycomb is a strong structure?
Yeah, it makes it much stronger than if it was just a hollow object. What else?
Doesn't hexagons have like 4 triangles in them, and triangles are the strongest shape?
Well, they are very good for structure like that, but they also, that's good, they use less material, because if that was a hollow skull, you could crush it really easily. I mean, here's a handle I printed earlier, and you can have a good squeeze of that, and that's quite a strong print. If you want to go to the MakerBot program, okay, so go up and then press to that, and then press Add Models. Right, now press the one we saved, Handles, and open. Brilliant, and then just tap it there. Right, now these models are set up to print. Our 3D printer's attached now, so if you press the hit print the red button, Okay. And that is now going to go and print on the 3D printer. Right, we've finished printing. I'll just slide the plate out. And then you can take these rafts off, okay? Mm-hmm. Right, so they're printed on these little beds of plastic, and the beds actually probably are a bit more than plastic than the actual 3D print itself. Right, you can just snap it off. If you just snap that off. Okay, and those bits we don't need, so I can throw those in the bin. So now we've got these little handles to glue to our boxes.
Hi there, my name is Dilla Jokes. I'm the head of hockey at Forest School. Today we're going to do a session looking at reactions, change of direction, and looking at how fast we can react. Okay? How are we feeling about that?
Good.
Good. Your objective, you're the chaser. You're going to try and catch Sylvie. Yep. On my blast. Ready? You can't go through the arm box as well. Okay? And we're starting off without ball. All right? Go. Oh. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. We've got 2 more seconds. 3. Good. All right, swap roles. Swap roles. Stop. Relax, relax.
Hello, my name's Ben Adams and I'm the Director of Sport here at Forest. The pupils that you can see playing cricket behind me are some of our best cricketers in Year 8, some of our scholars. Cricket is very much an all-round sport all year. Their programme starts in November, where they have the opportunity to have one-to-one or small group coaching throughout the rest of the Michaelmas term. Throughout January to Easter, we'll train as squads, and the pupils will be up here in our cricket suite or downstairs in our sports hall as a group preparing for the summer. And when it comes to the summer term, the boys get 2 training sessions per week during the school day, and then they play every Saturday against local schools and in county cups and in national cups.
My name's Jack Perham. We're here today at Forest School's Strength and Conditioning Suite. You'll see a few of the scholars in Year 10 going through a typical strength and conditioning programme used to support their athletic development as they go through the school. So the programmes that we put in place are there to support their athletic development, keep them injury-proof, and essentially as they expose themselves to more competitive sport, it's important they have this support system off the pitch as well.
I'm renovating at the moment. Those door handles look great in detail. I might grab them. Oh, we've got another great question come through. A really good question, this one. How much homework do you get?
Oh, on to the nitty-gritty, guys. How much homework?
Too much.
Too much.
I was in the prep school, and everyone's like, when we're nearly going to senior school, everyone's like, oh my God, we get so much homework. And then now, it's not too much, I would say. It's a little. It's not too much, it's not too little.
How many do you get per day, for example?
So average around 2. Like some days we have 3.
Okay.
Literally, like maybe 1 or 2 days of the week, and then most of the days is 2, and then 1 day is 1 homework.
And does anyone want to say how you get your homework, or where do you access it, or yes?
Well, at the moment, like 95% of it is all on Microsoft Teams or OneNote. Because of COVID, so we can't do a lot of things on paper because they have to be quarantined. So you have to like write your essays and paragraphs in Word and then attach them to your Teams.
And how long are your homeworks, guys? So you said on average you get 2 homeworks per night. How long are they meant to take you?
Half an hour.
Yeah, it's half an hour. Yeah. George, I like that straight in there. No, that half an hour and not a minute more. No. Okay, fantastic.
And then do you parents kind of see you do your homework? Do they discuss about your homework?
Sometimes.
Oh, it's lovely to hear you all answer, but just you load, I guess.
Well, when my mum sees me doing my homework, she's like, oh, okay, you're doing your homework. And then she just goes do other stuff. Yeah. So my mum doesn't really check my homework, but if I do it really quickly, she's like,
Show me what you've done.
She sounds sensible, your mum, Layla. Okay, right, on to our next question, which is, good question. What has Forest been like with all the COVID restrictions? Obviously, you guys won't know necessarily what it was like pre-COVID, but what has your experience been like for you, George?
Well, it's kind of annoying because, like, when you're trying to get somewhere, you can just go straight forward, but instead you have to go all the way around because of the one-way system.
So you're getting a lot more exercise than you might at the moment.
And what about quarter and lunch, for example? So how
You have to wear your mask in the playground at lunch and quarter.
And anyone else? How is it? Yes.
Well, we also share our tennis courts that we go on with the Year 8. So so one day, for example, the Year 7s have the courts, but that means the Year 8s get the tuck shop for that day, and then the next day it switches. And then at lunch, it also changes every week, but at the moment, the Year 7s go on the courts until 1:30, and then we go in for lunch, and then we go to our form rooms.
So you go at different times to different bubbles and things like that. And what's it been like wearing a mask all the time then?
It's very sweaty.
Very sweaty, okay.
Yeah.
What's that, sorry?
It's quite irritating because it's literally, it feels like it's glued to your face.
And what about the hand sanitizer?
Oh, it's
it makes it dry.
It's so sticky, and then
So in the morning, when we come in, we have to wash our hands.
Yeah.
The water is freezing.
I can vouch for that. It's bracing, is it? Character building. Didn't James say something about strength of heart?
Yeah.
There we go. James, how have you found it?
Yeah, you basically have to wear a mask the whole time, unless you're physically eating food, which means like it's quite helpful in case you forget to put your mask on. If a teacher's about to shout at you, then you just need to have a crisp packet in your pocket so you can just say that you're eating food.
So, James, it sounds like you've planned some emergency measures for the emergency measures.
I haven't used it yet.
You haven't used it
What
yet?
about in lessons, though? Because, James, you said you have to wear your mask all the time. What about in lessons, though? Sabina?
In lessons, you don't have to wear them unless you want to.
Okay.
But, for example, when like a teacher's walking around, they will have to wear a mask.
Right.
And then in between lessons, you wear a mask.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
It's great to see these questions coming through, actually.
Yeah.
Lots of really good questions. We've got another one here, panel. I hope you're ready for this one. What's your hardest subject? And how easy is it to ask for help? Oh, lots of hands up here. Evie, do you want to have a go yet?
I think my hardest subject is RS, which is like religious studies. It's kind of hard because we have like a ton of tests for everything. It's quite hard to remember everything because there's so many different religions and so many different aspects to all the different religions. So it's just kind of hard to memorize all of them.
Any particular topic at the moment you learn in RS or anything that... or any religion? You mentioned many religions, so anything that you've touched base on?
We're doing animism and monotheism and polytheism. So there's just kind of things you assign to a religion. So animism is like you believe there's like a god in like plants and trees and things like that. And then I think monotheism is like it's a religion with one god, and then polytheism is a religion with multiple gods.
There you go.
Excellent.
There's some of those.
Excellent. Okay, and yeah, Aditya, do you want to join in?
For me, my hardest subject's geography. Sometimes I understand, but most of the time I find it quite hard compared to other students, because sometimes I don't really understand what things mean. But then there's always the teacher to talk to, and my teacher's Mrs. Cole, and she's really nice. She helps us out a lot.
And who else could you go to for help, guys? So obviously there's your teacher, but who else can you if you're struggling or finding a lesson challenging, which I would actually hope you're finding a lesson challenging because it means you're learning. So yeah, who else can you go to? So George.
First you go to your tutor, and then the next person in line is your head of house, so like the head of your house, and then you go to the head of the section you're in. So for us, it would be you.
Yeah.
And then you go to Mr. Kane.
Okay. So lots of people that you can go to if you were finding your learning challenging across the board. And what about if you're in that lesson and maybe the teacher is helping another people in that lesson? What could you do then, Scarlett?
So my hardest subject is German.
Yes. Or ja.
Yeah. And I'm struggling, I would probably ask someone next to me, like, hey, can you explain this to me? And but I'm going to carry on doing German, hopefully, in year 10, because like my German teacher says, it's a language that not a lot of people know. So when you're applying for colleges and stuff, they'll think, oh, she does German, that says something about her, and then, so.
Absolutely.
And I know, Miss Smith, we usually have mentoring, but obviously with COVID and the different bubbles, they can't have that, different years.
Yeah, we have obviously a system of academic mentoring as well. Yanis, what do you think?
For me, the hardest subject is definitely science. I mean, RS is, I mean, you just have to kind of like think what's in your heart. I think geography, you just have to think about it in your brain. I mean, it's not too hard. It's science.
No, Yanis, I love science.
I think the working part of it is kind of annoying. I think the practicals are much funner.
Okay, so in terms of how do you guys feel about, if you're finding something challenging, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about being challenged, being in your learning zone? What does that mean? What does that mean? Sabina?
I mean, sometimes it can get you a bit panicky, and then sometimes you're in the panic zone, which is where like you don't understand and you're like behind on homework and things like that. But when something's challenging, like most of the time, either the teacher can give you like a sheet of paper that will like explain it to you more in depth, or like websites that can help you learn how to do it. So most of the time, it's not that bad.
So if you're in the learning zone, it's actually a good thing, as long as you're not in the panic zone. Okay, excellent. And Aditya?
For me, it's not like something's challenging. You have to like understand it. So whenever I find something challenging, I try it myself. But then if I can't do it, then I ask my teacher to help me understand what the question is meaning and my partners. And then once I understand it, I can do the rest of.
Great. Okay. I think we'll move on. So, what kind of co-curricular clubs are there, and how do you choose which ones to go to? So that's kind of in two parts. So let's just start off by telling us what kind of co-curricular clubs. Obviously a bit more restricted than it would normally be with COVID. But what can you get, what co-curricular opportunities can you get involved in? Lola, do you want to start?
Well, there's loads, like there's a drama club, there's film club, there's top squad swimming, there's netball, cricket. There's loads of like lunchtime clubs, but of course they have loads of restrictions, so you can't do as much stuff as you can.
As you would normally, yeah. And guys, feel free to chip in. We don't need you go for it if you've got.
I think there's normally like without COVID restrictions like over 100 clubs. So like there's so many to choose from.
And tell us more.
How do you choose?
Yeah, that's a good.
How do you choose?
There's something called SOCS. It's an acronym. SOCS. If you go on there and you click on clubs and activities, then you can just you just have a button saying I want to join, and then if there's spaces free, you instantly just get added to the online register, and then you can press another button which will add it to your calendar on Teams. So and you can set a reminder so it'll ding on your laptop when you need to go. I'm in a couple of clubs. My favourite one, I think at the moment, is Anime Club.
It's what, sorry?
Anime Club.
Brilliant. Sounds lots of fun. And the other thing I should say as well, and you guys might not be aware of this yet, but if there is a club that we don't offer, we do really encourage our pupils to come and speak to us about it. And that's, of course, a brilliant pupil leadership opportunity. So we've had our lower school pupils in the past have set up everything from lower school dodgeball to lower school creative writing, lower school feminism society, lower school newspaper we've had in the past. So we really respond to our pupils. If there isn't something that we offer, we very much try to accommodate that. Let's move on.
Yes, yeah, we've got another question. So do you live a long way from Forest, and what's the journey like? I know something you mentioned about bus, yes? Oh, did you?
I don't live a long way away. I live in Wanstead, so that's not far away. But I like to walk to school, so I walk to and from school with my brother, who's in the prep school, and I just find it fun just walking.
So anyone live a bit further away? James?
I live in Tower Hamlets, and my journey takes about 45 minutes each way, and I go by tube, and I have to say it's quite a lot more relaxing being on the tube than walking. 'Cause usually I walk quite fast and I tire myself out a lot.
Does anyone take the school bus? Oh, we've got Yanis and Lola, Evie sometimes. Okay, so how's your school bus journey, or how different? Yes,
For me, it's, I like that you're on the school bus, you don't have to be with other people that you don't know. I like it that everybody in the school is on this bus, and it goes directly. It isn't too bad. You're in the bus, you're sitting down.
How far do you come?
I live in Islington, so quite a bit away. I think it's 35 minutes. But I think I don't suffer too much on the bus. It's nice.
It's good to know.
Lola?
I don't live that far. I just live in Chingford. But I take the school bus because I like to and because my mum works. And it's nice. It's a really, because we have to go to different stops. So that takes quite a long time, so half an hour. But it's nice because on my bus I have my friends to talk to. So
How big's your bus? How many are there on your bus?
I don't know. I think there's 15. It's tiny.
Oh, a tiny bus. Okay.
Yeah.
Sabine?
I get on the public bus because I live like a 5-minute drive away, but on the bus it's like 25 minutes. I live in South Woodford, and then so I walk like 5 minutes to the bus stop, and the bus comes every 10 minutes, so it's not a massive deal if I miss it. And then I get on that bus, which I think quite a lot of people actually get from this school, especially after school. It's like 20 people trying to get on the bus, and it kind of helps if you're in year 7 and you're quite small, because you can like go in between people.
You can get
on the bus.
Good tip, Sabina. Okay, so another question's come into the chat now. What's the house system like? Great question. Are there any competitions? Evie?
So, like, you don't really get to spend that much time with anyone that's above your year and in your house, but, like, there's house meetings, and you do get to, like, do some kind of fun activities. Like, there was a photography competition that was happening, and it was, like, the symmetry, like natural symmetry, and it was kind of fun. You got to see what everyone kind of thought of it.
Which house are you in?
Astel.
Yeah, fantastic. And I've seen there's some brilliant photography that's been posted on the Jonians and Astel team. Excellent. Yeah, like I say, obviously you guys, like Evie said, don't get much opportunity to interact with the older years, but obviously ordinarily you would be part of a community of pupils all the way from year 7 all the way up to year 13. So fingers crossed we are back in those times soon.
And you can tell the boys are proud of their house ties. They're all wearing their house ties,
yeah,
as you can see.
Absolutely.
So they have the green, we have the purple, so pools, not in my house. So we have Yanis, you are?
Bishops.
Bishops. What is Bishops famous for?
I don't know.
Bishops?
This one.
Yes.
Yeah,
How does it go? James?
Doctors.
There you go.
The best house, definitely.
Best house, okay, good
Doctor's
to know.
best house.
So what does being in a house mean, guys? Why do we bother with houses? What's that all about? Lola?
I think because there's a diamond structure, which means like in year 7 to, I don't know which year, but it's boys and girls in different teaching sets. And I think it's kind of nice to be mixed in the houses. And I think there's houses so we can like get together and have like competitions and stuff, which is nice.
So we've heard about the photography competition that's been going on with Astel. What other competitions have you got on the horizon, guys? Sabina?
Well, a few weeks ago, the girls had house hockey, but we're still awaiting for the results of who won. And there's also like a house bake-off where you have to make a pie.
That sounds good.
And usually I think the year 7, for example, I'm in Elliot. Year 7 Elliots, their form would be with the year 8 Elliots as well. But now it's changed, so year 7 Elliots are now with their twin house, which is year 7 Doctors.
Yeah.
And then the year 8 Doctors are with the year 8 Elliots. So it kind of, they're basically just like your community that you see every morning for like half an hour.
Awesome, fantastic. It gives you community as well as competition. I love that. And Lola, do you want to add to that?
Well, my twin house is Bishops, and there's a lot of competition, like a lot. Like the other day, we signed a contract that, there has to be loads of like football matches, hockey matches, netball matches, so much. And like there was a deal. So if school win, which is my house, then the Bishops have to be quiet for 5 months.
5 months? It's 1 month.
5 months. 5. And if we lose, then they said that we were going to get kicked out of our form.
Oh dear, sad
that was so
times.
mean.
And who's going to be involved in house music?
I signed up.
You signed up for house music, so it depends, obviously.
I didn't get it either.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right, I think we...
I was going to take the next question, actually, because it actually says, if you were me, if you were warden for the day at Forest School, what would you do? What would you change? And I'm going to take some notes. Scarlett, do you want to start off?
I would
What would you do?
instantly reduce the homework.
Reduce homework?
Like, reduce it. Just squish it. And
Okay.
I think I'd possibly also give the option to make playtime shorter and go home earlier.
Okay.
Because although I do enjoy break, it's the winter and it's cold. And not all of my friends are in the same house as me, and we can go to our form rooms to do homework, but it means I can't kind of be with my friends. So definitely an option to maybe go inside and with anyone. So I'd reduce homework, go home earlier, all the good stuff, and maybe...
We are a bit constrained at the moment, aren't we, in space and so on. Who else would want to change? George, what about you?
If I was warden, I would make this contract, which makes me warden forever.
Okay.
You'd become a dictator, George.
Yeah. So then I'd
We'll talk afterwards.
then I'd
Lola, what about you?
I would change the lunch times because right now we have to eat lunch at 1:30 and we used to have lunch at 12:50. So it's a really long wait. We're really hungry after lessons.
Yeah.
Really hungry.
You want more of that pizza? Evie, what about you?
Okay, I have a lot of ideas, so get your pen ready. So, I would make break time longer and all the other lessons shorter.
Okay.
I would also add more things to the tuck shop. Because you sometimes do get like pizza and you get like cheese toasties and stuff like that.
Fruit.
And fruit.
Thank you, James.
There could be a little bit extra stuff, like a little bit more of a variety of fruit as well. I mean, just like apples and bananas. I think that's it.
Okay.
I don't think I count Frutella as a fruit right now.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, I've got that one there. Sabina?
I have to agree with Evie and disagree with Scarlett. I want to make break times longer and lessons shorter, and also end the school day a bit earlier. Because I get home around 4:30, 4:40, because sometimes the bus doesn't stop for us because there's too many people trying to get on, and you have to wait for the next one. But break time feels like it's gone in 5 minutes. So yeah.
What time does school finish? School day finish?
Just 3:50.
3:50. Okay.
Okay, interesting. Right, thank you for that. Our next question.
Our next question. Are any of you from a state school, and what was the transition like? So how many of you arrived from a state school? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So how was your experience, and yes, what was it like? James? Sorry.
I think the facilities here are a lot better. Because obviously there's a lot more money here. Yeah. So it's got a swimming pool and loads more space, and it's got the park obviously, which are massive grounds with loads of fields and a massive AstroTurf, as well as the field which is just next to us out there. So yeah, I found it a lot bigger and everything's very nice.
And a proper drama theatre that we sat here right now in the Deaton Theatre. Sabina?
So yeah, I went to a state school and the food was not as good as it is here. Our tuck shop had plain popcorn that tasted of cardboard, and we also had pretzels that had no salt on them that were that small. So that wasn't good. And then also something that's different is that also, I think it's most primary schools anyway, you'd stay in the same classroom for the whole time apart from PE.
Yeah.
And then your teachers would come to you and you have you have the same teacher for almost everything.
Yeah.
You understand, Lola?
For me, I think that the main difference is the size, as I said before, but I think the food has been said a lot too. In our old school, they would basically just give us jack and potatoes every day. That was basically it. And there wasn't a tuck shop.
So tell us about the lunch options here. What are what are the options?
So when you come up the stairs of the hall, on your right there are the hot meals, on your left there are the colder meals. So on the left there's always sandwiches and little fruits. I think yesterday there was pasta too, But on the right, there's like, yesterday there was fish and chips. And there's quite a big variety, and they're very nice desserts. So I can vouch for that.
I'm glad you can vouch for that.
And then Lola, do you get to see the menu beforehand?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's just like when we walk in, like where the stairs are on the right, there's like a big like poster thing, and it says like what we're gonna eat. And in my old school, we didn't have that, so you just go and you'll be like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna eat today? And then you just see it and you'll be like, oh.
What about lessons or your learning? If you noticed any differences there, those of you that came from state schools perhaps, any differences you've observed? George?
Well, like, everything you use is better, because in my old school science, you did, like, no, like, experiment. You only did, like, ones where, like, maybe had, like, a toy car down the ramp. That's kind of it.
So those facilities help you to have more varied experiments. And Sabina?
There was also, the only language we did was French, and our French teacher left like every year, so we got a new one every year, and we ended up just learning the same thing over and over again, so I can only say like, hello, how are you in French.
Whereas, what's your experience been like here?
So I do Spanish and German, and I can say something in German, which is meine Lieblingsmannschaft. Fußballmannschaft is Tottenham. That's my favourite football team is Tottenham.
Can I add two points just in response to the question, which is that in terms of the intake into Year 7, it's pretty much a 50-50 split from primary schools and prep schools, which may be of interest to people. And also that normally in a Year 7 cohort like this one, we have about 160 pupils, and last year they came from at least 70 to 80 different schools. So most people arriving at Forest first day in Year 7 know nobody. And they very quickly, as you've heard, get to know people very quickly. So that just contextualises that question.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to our final question for the morning. It's gone quickly. Again, another great question. Thank you. What was your first day like? So cast your minds back, guys. Thursday, 3rd of September. You came in for your first of 2 days of Year 7 induction. What was it like? Tell us more. Scarlett, do you want to start?
So I went to prep school here. So I walked into the playground and I was like, do I try and get to know more people? Do I go to the people I already know? And I walked across the playground and I went to the people I already knew. And I tried to kind of walk around, but everyone was feeling very awkward. So everyone was kind of like, what do I do? Who do I talk to? So I kind of stuck around, but then I did get to start kind of know new people with like all the activities we did and like the treasure hunt that I mentioned earlier, and like so all the activities really did help.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Scarlett. And George and Evie, do you want to chip in there? Because you two obviously weren't at the prep school, which was a different experience to Scarlett. So I'm really interested to hear what your first day was like as a Forester.
Well, at quarter and lunch, I was like, because my best friend goes here. Okay. So, like, I already knew him. Yeah. So, like, I was like, I didn't like go to anyone. But like the treasure hunt.
What's the treasure hunt then? Tell me more about that.
It's like we went around the school finding letters, and we had to like work out the word it said.
Solving clues and things like that.
I think it was Welcome to Forest Lower School.
Okay, so brilliant.
Did you want to?
Well, firstly, there was free food in the tuck shop, and everyone went nuts. I remember that there was like a stampede of people rushing into the tuck shops, and then I asked someone what was going on, and there was like this person just screaming, "There's free food!" And then everyone had a cookie and some juice, and it was just, everyone was just screaming and running everywhere.
And I know it's a shame they couldn't get to go on the bonding trip that we do as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So obviously, as we said earlier, this induction has been slightly different for our Year 7s, but ordinarily, that's a really good point, Mr. B, we would take all our Year 7 pupils off-site for a bonding trip, where they'll be doing all kinds of activities, pushing them out of their comfort zone. So it's paddleboarding, caving, archery, canoeing, you name it, they do it. So sad times that we couldn't go this year, obviously due to COVID, but we are hopeful to give you guys an experience when restrictions relax that will enable that to happen. Yanis?
I don't know if it was only me, but the treasure hunt, I'm pretty sure that was Place specifically. that we had to go all the way around the school.
You're right, Yanis.
3,000 times.
Or revealed.
You're right.
You know your
It
way
was
around
an
school.
orientation exercise as well. Absolutely. Okay. Anyone want to add to that? So last day. Sorry, not last day. First day. Scarlett. Sorry, Sabina.
Well, when we first came in, because I was the first in my form room, because I came early that day, so we all got given our class timetable and we all looked at that for a bit. And then we had tutor time, which was longer than it usually is, so we could get to know our form. And we did loads of icebreakers, and then we got to know our head of house as well. And I've forgotten whether this was the first day or the second day. I think it was the whole of year 7. It might have been at different times though. We all went outside to the field and we all did sports games to help bond, and it was really fun and competitive.
Awesome, fantastic, thank you. And I should add to that as well, it wasn't necessarily on the first day, but of course, as you know, we're a bring your own device school as well. So guys, how did the school support you when you arrived to get you prepared for learning digitally? Evie and then James?
What they did was, like, firstly, they let us connect to the Wi-Fi, because otherwise you can't really do anything if there's no Wi-Fi. So they told us the password, and it was just, yeah. And then we got on, and then I think there was this PowerPoint that we had to go on, and then our tutors kind of talked us through, like, what would happen normally, like the lessons, and then quarter, and when we would go on that.
Great, thank you. And James?
So Miss Goldingham, who's the head of tech stuff in the school, sent us all some videos and instructions of how to set up our devices to all the Microsoft Teams and OneNote and Office 365 that we use here.
Yeah.
And it was all step by step, and our form tutors helped us work it out.
So it was broken down into sort of manageable chunks for you, and your tutors there to support. That's fantastic. Okay, thank you. Well, I think that's all, sadly, we have time for this morning. Thank you so much for joining us for our first ever virtual event. And I think it's obviously really important that we say a huge thank you to our pupils. Really daunting to do this at the best of times with a live audience. But as you can imagine, perhaps even more challenging without having that immediate rapport of an audience as well. So guys, could you join me? And I know you're not here with us, but can you join me in solidarity, congratulating our Year 7 students who've done a fantastic job. Thank you so much.
So maybe just worth reflecting that this time last year, these pupils behind me were, so to speak, sitting where you are and wondering what life at the Forest was going to be like. And I hope you've learnt something of what it is like, and that you, continue your getting to know the school. And we very much hope that you will be here in person at some point before too long. So thank you for joining us this morning. It's not the last you're going to see of us for some while, because next weekend we are going to be running lots and lots of interviews online. We've got about 50 teachers who are going to be interviewing lots and lots of you at home, online, and we very much look forward to meeting you next weekend. So in the meantime, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and goodbye from Forest. Goodbye.